in Japan, and I was like, why in the world would you dress like that? And then I got it. Then I got the joke. Because he's going to go get all the party members.
Yeah, and I respect this run too, because I don't like leaving any party members behind, even if I'm not going to use them.
That does seem entirely legit. Alright, so when the game starts, I'm going to let you kind of run the show. If you need anything from me, let me know. But otherwise, I think you probably have this a lot better off than I do.
Yeah, I know a lot about this game. I'm a little bit more confident than I was with the Thracia. Alright, so there's actually a lot to talk about in the first chapter of this game. First of all, there's a character that is recruitable in Fire Emblem 1 and Shadow Dragon that is completely removed. He was replaced by a healing item. So Marth Sheeta, which is the Pegasus Knight, just comes up to Marth and she talks about how there's bandits attacking her castle. Okay, so it looks like he's just gonna go straight for gold. He's not even gonna get the town on the top right. So in this game, Marth is the only one that can go to towns, which is pretty annoying because he doesn't have like a mount or anything. The town on the top right has 5,000 gold, which is pretty useful in the early game considering you have 0 gold. But I guess he doesn't need that. If anybody has any general questions about the game, just feel free to ask away. This game has a lot of interesting mechanics. It has a weapon level, so every time you level up, your weapon will level up too. I'm not sure if it's RNG. I don't think it is. This is pretty good because there are some chapters where you'll be indoors and your mounted units will be dismounted. When they're dismounted, they are forced to only use swords. In this game, no unit can use 2 weapons when they're mounted. So if you have a mounted unit, like your Cavalier or your Pegasus Knight, they're forced to use lances and they can only use lances. But when they're dismounted, they are forced to use swords. I like that. That's a mechanic I want to come back in future Fire Emblem games. Because it kind of forces you to use other weapons. And yes, the attack speed is what depends on you double attacking. Yeah, a lot of people have told me that their Marths turn out bad in Book 1, but I don't know if it's just because like I have a super Marth bias, so he just loves me and he gives me the stats that I want. But I've never had a bad Marth in any of the Fire Emblem games I've played. Okay, so it looks like he's going to. This is where you would recruit Whis, which is a bald cleric, very popular in Japan. He got replaced by a healing item, so. Okay, well, I had no idea that Cheetah could just walk up and do that to the boss. In my opinion, I think Marth is one of the more powerful lords, especially in Fire Emblem 1, which is a game that literally only I have played. But he is actually Jesus in that game, and I'd say he's solid in Shadow Dragon because you have Rapier Forge, though most people prefer to forge Sheeta's Wingser. So nothing is changed here in this chapter. Oh, well, actually, there's a pirate by the name of Daros that's supposed to be recruited in this chapter, and he's just not here. Actually, no, I think Daros was added in Shadow Dragon, so it's he was just never here. There is a unit that he's trying to recruit here with Sheeta. It's a hunter by the name of Kashim. I can't remember what his localized name was, but it's definitely not Kashim. Also, I forgot to mention that that's right, Castor. Two things were added into this game. There's a promotion for knights now. Back in Fire Emblem 1, knights couldn't promote, but now he can. I'm not sure if he's going to be using Doga a lot for him to promote. Also, hunters can promote now too, and I'm not sure if he's going to use them as well. I personally don't mess around with those units. Though I do realize that Hunter is better than Archer. It's kind of strange, but that is the case. They just have better stats. But I prefer Gordon because Gordon's cuter. I totally forgot to mention that another reason why Marth is so good, just specifically in his own game, is there are a lot of cavalry and knight units. And Marth has Rapier, which is locked to him only. And he can just one-shot everything. In this game, though, he doesn't need to use that Rapier against cavalry units. He can just use a Steel Sword. I would say Fire Emblem 7 is a really good one to start with. If you want to play the older ones, this one's really solid. Trying to not be biased because this is my favorite Fire Emblem game, but this one is solid. A lot of people tell you Fire Emblem 4 and Fire Emblem 5, but I think those games are best played when like you're like invested in the series. This Fire Emblem is really basic. You know, not a ton of hidden mechanics. Very easy to understand. Also, Marth's in this game, so like Come on. So I do like his use of jogging a lot. I'm not sure if he's gonna just drop him later on. See, a lot of people say that the Shadow Dragon remake is bad because of the guiding chapters, but you have to think of it as those chapters are just there if you're really bad at the game. Like, I understand that the requirements are really bad, but I don't think that makes the game bad. I'm a strong believer of hashtag Fire Emblem 11 did nothing wrong, other than have ugly in-game sprite work. Which I feel like that's more of the DS's fault, right? So it appears that don't bring up Tellius, because Tellius had a really bad localization. And I'd say Shadow Dragon's writing, as far as the transformation of Marth, like into actually being a character, because in this game he doesn't really talk much, and you are supposed to be Marth. Like, Marth is a blank slate, and you are him, and they kind of just like tell you stuff that he should know. But in Shadow Dragon, they did a good job of like transforming him into an actual character. Tellius has an issue of the Blood Pact, which is ridiculous, and the Warp Powder, but I won't get into that. So we are looking to recruit one unit here, and that is Navarre. In this game, Navarre is actually a beast. In Shadow Dragon DS, they nerfed him for some reason. Also, we finally get our warp staff, which I think he'll definitely use it for a later chapter. Probably when Marth is just like strong enough to just one round every boss on the game, he'll start using it. So it seems like Joggin is pretty much the MVP of this run so far, as well as Marth. So I was testing how the AI works in this game compared to Fire Emblem 1. In Fire Emblem 1, they straight up just always prioritize Marth regardless. It's really strange, but in this one, they're I don't know, they do some really weird things. If you want to play more Kaga Emblem, you should definitely check out Tearing Saga if you haven't played that. No, Tearing Saga, not Romancing Saga. So we finally get Navarre. And we also get some monies. I'm pretty sure he's just gonna roll with his equipment until we get to chapter 8. Yeah. So we actually get like 5 units, and I only think one of them is worth using, and that's kind of stretching it. So this is where we just skipped another chapter from Fire Emblem 1. One of the chapters was removed and characters were moved here. So Merrick is in this chapter now. He was supposed to be in a chapter that is removed from this game, and Wendell is supposed to be in this chapter as well, but he got pushed to the next chapter. Rena's brother, which is our cleric, is in this chapter as well. All these units we got are pretty mediocre for a casual playthrough, but might be alright for a speedrun. See, this game just throws so many units at you, and I think they're just there for the ride, not to necessarily be used. Like, together we ride, man. Okay, so the item he just got there is the Firestone. So I assume he's going to use Band 2. Band 2 is our first dragon unit that we will be getting later. I personally don't use him that often, but he is a pretty beefy tank when he's in his dragon form, which is pretty much all dragons. Alright, so right there he just dismounted on his cavalier. I believe so. That game was... I mean, if it is a glitch, I didn't know that was a glitch. I just thought that was like how it was supposed to be, to be honest with you.
So what exactly is going on plot-wise right now?
We're taking back a castle that Princess... this is Princess Nina's castle, which we'll probably see her later. And the king of this part of this country is basically just trying to kill Marth and stop him. And he also threatened Rena's brother, which is the redheaded girl that just talked to the Cavalier. He said he was going to kill him if he didn't fight for him, and Rena is just basically saying, "Oh well, you should come join us instead." And her brother is like, "Well, I guess I'll just join you guys, and I'll die gloriously." He's already set on dying pretty much, and then he says one more thing: never fall in love with a thief. So what I forgot to bring up in the chapter with Navarre, the thief that we got, Julian, was a part of the group of bandits, and he just decided, oh, wow, I'm in love with this cleric, so I'm gonna betray all these guys. This isn't right. And yeah, I don't expect the runner to use Mathis at all. That unit can't even hurt a fly.
So I have to believe that the RNG here is completely planned, because there are some situations where some of these units are getting very low, but he's not even worried about it.
Yeah, it appears to be that way. I'm surprised it's fixed because it's not that way in other games. Maybe there's just some small manipulations he's doing, but I haven't seen him do like anything with his cursor that's out of the ordinary. And yeah, there is a task. Actually, the RTA run of Shadow Dragon DS is 16 minutes, so pretty fast run. Marth just destroys the entire game and gets warped. He doesn't need anybody to help him. He just does his own thing. So we recruited Merrick, who is a very, very, very useful mage, and he will be... I'm sure he'll be the MVP of the chapter with Flyers.
So I know you said that the weapon triangle doesn't exist. Does magic weaknesses exist in this game?
Yes. Well, I think Blizzard deals extra damage to fire dragons, and Excalibur, which is wind magic, does extra damage to flyers. There are weakness weapons. Like, I totally forgot to mention that he gave Abel an armor slayer. So Abel is just cutting through these knights. No, there is no Reaver weapons because there's no weapon triangle. No weapon triangle till Fire Emblem 4, I believe. But yeah,
So,
Reaver was... I'm sorry.
Sorry. No, I was just gonna ask a dumb question.
What's up?
So you mentioned... So Fire Emblem 3 was the first one on the Super Famicom, yes?
Yes.
And I guess Fire Emblem 4 was also on Super Famicom?
Yep. Those are the two best-selling Fire Emblem games before Awakening, fun fact.
Nice. So where do all the... Like, what consoles do all the games fall on? Do you happen to know?
So Fire Emblem 1 and 2 are the original Nintendo. Fire Emblem 3, 4, and 5 are on SNES. 6, 7, and 8 are on GBA. 9 and 10... 9 is on GameCube, 10 is on the Wii. 11 and 12 are on DS. And 13, 14, 15 are on 3DS.
So awful lot of Fire Emblem games.
Yes, there's a lot of Fire Emblem games. There's also the BS Fire Emblem game, which is some satellite game or something like that fills in the gaps of some of the plot in this game. I haven't messed around with it yet. I don't know too much about it. I just know that it exists. Someone in the chat I know definitely knows more about that than me. And also we have the Warriors spinoff. We have Heroes, which is a big hit mobile game.
Very nice.
Also, this is the chapter where Wendell got moved to. So Wendell is Merrick's master, and he randomly got moved into the jail cell on this map. I think what he's gonna do though, because he needs Merrick to recruit him, they won't attack. They are enemy units for some reason. I guess they didn't. The concept of NPCs didn't exist yet. So I I think what he's gonna do is he's just gonna have them follow the party around until the end of the map and then recruit them. This game is a sequel to the first Fire Emblem, but the Book 2 version of this game. So in this version of the game, there is 2 books. There's Book 1, which is the retelling of the Fire Emblem 1 story, and which is essentially a remake. And then Book 2 is the continuation of that story.
So, just out of curiosity, say you complete Book 1 with all the characters surviving. Do those characters carry over to Book 2, or do you kind of restart?
You restart because there's new characters introduced, but Marth, I believe, has the Fire Emblem icon next to his name if you beat Book 1 and transition into Book 2. And yes, Book 1 does miss some chapters from Fire Emblem 1 and 11. As I was saying earlier, a character, Whis, is completely replaced by a Vulnerary. So if you actually go to Google right now and go to like Wikipedia and Google Whis, WRYS, and you scroll down and look at one of his pictures, you'll see that he's holding a stamina drink in his Fire Emblem Heroes art. And that's supposed to reference that was the Vulnerary that replaced him in Fire Emblem 3. So, fun fact about that.
So, could you, in theory, just boot up Fire Emblem 3 and start playing Book 2?
Yes. Book 1's not required. I think that was just something they added because they wanted to remake the first game. I know that they had a ton of ideas going into both Fire Emblem 1 and Fire Emblem 2, but the limitations of the Famicom was like, you know, they could only do so much. And this is why this game has been remade so many times, and I feel like specifically this version might be remade in the future, but like way, way far into the future. Because I know that this is the baby of the series. Like this was like the best-selling Fire Emblem game until Awakening.
It's like, yo dog, we heard you like remakes, so we put remakes in your remakes.
See, I'm okay with that. They recently remade Fire Emblem 2, which is a game I don't recommend most people playing. You can play the remake, but don't play the original. I personally like it, but it's very archaic. And the presentation of that game it's beautiful. It's a very good looking game. The voice acting is excellent. The music is excellent, and I would love to see something like that for this game. Don't know if it'll happen, but it would be nice. See, Fire Emblem 4 has a ton of issues with it being remade. As me and Burton mentioned in the Thracia playthrough, there's just like it's a very, very dark and fucked up game. That one might be a little bit tough to get remade, but I think it will happen. Also, I'm mentioning this a bit late, but I'm sure you guys have noticed that all the units that had mounts are dismounted. So yeah, this is a feature for this game and Fire Emblem 5. Whenever you're in indoor chapters, all units are just dismounted. It's pretty cool.
What is this realism in my Fire Emblem games?
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense for a Pegasus Knight to be flying into a castle. It just doesn't. Maybe the horse riding into the castle? I don't know. It's a little bit extreme. So, I think that the team behind Fire Emblem just really don't like axes, which I don't like axes either, to be honest. And we recruit Wendell, which Wendell is a beast in this game. He can heal and he's a pre-promote. So that buff that Wendell just cast on our Marth was a magic resistance buff. So I guess what he's gonna have Marth do is just run in here and just tank all these guys. And yes, I'm a strong believer of just because a remake exists doesn't mean the original game disappears. Like, I actually played every version of this Fire Emblem game. Not one as much as the others, because Fire Emblem 1 is really, really slow. But I boot up this game and play it from time to time.
So, any idea why, or any perspective on why it's so much slower than this?
It's just the technology back then is just so slow.
So does it just like take that much longer for things to happen, like movements, or is it like the AI that takes forever, or what?
It's movements, it's the cursor movement, it's the animations in battle are really slow too. He has animations off, but if he had animations on, you would see like Martha just casually walking up to his enemies and just slashing and then stabbing him. Like, they just move so slow. The animations are funny in this game. The animations didn't really get improved and faster until Fire Emblem 4. And 5 did a really good job with the animations. And yes, this runner is doing a good job of showcasing Marth just being a beast. The best unit in this run, I would say Marth, yeah. The only lords that don't promote in the series is Marth and Sigurd. Every other lord promotes. It's also generally a good idea to baby your lord, considering you're forced to use them every chapter. And if they die, it's game over. I actually had a friend, some of you guys might know him, Toes My Bros. Really OG speedrunner. I finally forced him, or I didn't really force him, I finally convinced him to play Fire Emblem 7. And he did not level Eliwood at all, and his logic behind it was, I didn't want him to die.
Well, there you go.
I mean, see, what happened is he had a chapter where he kind of needed Eliwood to be good, and it was pretty unfortunate. He had to reset his game.
And that seems entirely legitimate. So how many level? So I know that in later games there are a lot of maps where the objective is not necessarily, kill everything or kill the boss, but capture this area or survive for so many turns or anything. Are there anything like that in this game?
Nah, pretty much it's just rat out the enemy, or well, no, all these chapters are pretty much just take the castle. New objectives like that didn't really get introduced till Fire Emblem 5. That's when they went crazy. They have defense chapters, they have escape chapters, they have like all these unique objectives. I don't know how the newer fans feel about those objectives. Us older fans love them. So I hope they kind of find a balance, because with the newer Fire Emblem games, I'm a little bit like I think that the chapters shouldn't just be kill this person and take the throne. Like, I think it's okay for this game because it's so old, but newer games, nah. And so
Yeah, I
we
definitely
got
like the idea of different types of objectives.
yeah. So in this chapter, this chapter may probably scare you on your first playthrough, because Minerva is on this chapter and the three Pegasus sisters. They won't attack you though. Now you can kill them for EXP and they'll appear later and they'll still be recruitable.
I thought if somebody died in this game, they were dead for good.
Yeah, they are, but not these units for some reason. They're special.
In-game logic.
So Minerva is having a conversation with this general, and she's just like, "This is pointless. We're gonna get destroyed by this army." And then he's like, "I never thought you would betray me. You know what happens if you betray me? I'll kill your sister," pretty much. So she considers fighting, but as you'll see later on, she just decides, "Yeah, fuck this. I'm not gonna do this." Also, there's a really beefy Wyvern Rider that I want to see how he's gonna deal with it. What I think he's gonna do is he's probably gonna have Marth tank one hit, and then he's gonna have Merrick come in and use the wind magic on it. The wind magic does 99 damage to all flyers, so nobody can survive that.
Somebody's gonna get wrecked.
Yeah. You know, the on-screen animations aren't actually that bad. For some reason in the GBA games, you kind of just like ram into the enemy, but this one they're actually slashing them with the sword, so that's nice. Oh, what a man. So he's just going to go up and recruit Bantu. I assume he's going to trade the Firestone to him and then transfer Bantu into a dragon. Yep, that's exactly what he's doing.
I mean, if you've never turned one of your underlings into a dragon, I highly recommend turning one of your underlings into a dragon.
Okay, so it appears he just straight up deals with the Dragonite ASAP. Nothing to worry about now. Those other units are just gonna leave in the next turn. And there he goes. Bantu transforms into a dragon. I think he has 4 turns to make use of that dragon form. Maybe 5. And then he'll turn back into his human form. This is pretty unique, how they treat dragons in this game. In Fire Emblem 1, it was just like your typical on-use dragonstone that some of you might be familiar with in the GBA Fire Emblem games. But this one, they actually transform into that. So there are reinforcements in this chapter as well. They're on the forts. I believe it's turn-based, not tile-based. So if he completes the chapter fast enough, he won't have to deal with them. And what I mean by tile-based is if he steps on a certain tile, then they'll appear. I don't think that's the case. Falcon Knights are not in this game, actually. Every Pegasus Knight promotes into a Dragon Knight, which doesn't really make any sense. But according to Minerva and Fire Emblem Heroes, she used to be a Pegasus Knight, so now it makes sense, but back in the day it didn't make any sense to me. That actually reminds me of something that kind of irritated me in Fire Emblem Awakening. You have a character, I believe you pronounce her name as Cherish, or Shirshi, something like that. She is very obsessed with her wyvern. She loves her wyvern. But you can promote her into a Griffin Rider, which doesn't make any sense. So I'm actually curious how he's going to handle the promotes, if anybody is going to be promoted in this run at all. Because you have units like Sheeta, which is our Pegasus Knight, who will most likely cap out her speed and resistance, like when she hits level 10. So at that point, he can just promote her. Okay, so he's covering all the reinforcements right now. The Thief and the Bishop are just gonna do nothing, pretty much. I think he's not even gonna bother them. Probably killing the Thief for EXP, and yep, you just gotta level up. So I think his goal here is to have Bantu kill the boss. Yeah, I think Dragon Knight is the only promotion in the series where you will lose stats when you promote. I'm actually excited to see Bantu in action.
Sounded like he did not intend to miss.
Yeah. He's probably behind on EXP for Sheeta. So I'm not sure if he's going to try and make up for that now.
So, what are the total number of chapters in Book 1, do you know?
Off the top of my head, I want to say 24? Let me confirm that. I forgot I have to subtract like 5 chapters as well, because some were removed.
Righto.
Okay, yeah, there is 21. Wait, no. Chapter 21 was removed. Yep, 24 chapters plus the in-game chapter. So technically 25. Alright, so those of you who have played Shadow Dragon might be familiar with this chapter. This is the chapter where Sheeta seduced a general into Marth's army. All the units that can be recruited in this chapter have already been recruited, and it appears he doesn't need any extra EXP, so he's just gonna warp straight to the boss and finish him off. Ooh, he missed. But he can heal from across the map, so it's okay. He's using the physics staff, which in this game you can just it has no range. It's the same with warp.
That's pretty impressive. Now, of course, the only problem with this sort of miss situation is you have to wait through this phase.
Yes.
It's a major time loss, I would say.
Yep. And you have to wait through all of this too. And this is what I mean by all the games are pretty slow, because there is no phase skipping. There is no phase skipping until Shadow Dragon. Which is another thing that I liked about that game, because I don't really care about enemy movements. The only thing I want them to notify me on is if they killed one of my units, which they don't do that in Shadow Dragon, actually. You skip a phase and one of your units dies, you will never know unless you're like really paying attention to who you deployed. Okay, so he's gonna need to warp somebody else there to finish that boss. Or no, I guess he's just gonna go straight for another physic. Okay. Guess at this point he just wants to get EXP on Marth. Marth and Tiki are the only ones that can damage the final boss. So pretty much your goal in this game, just like the TLDR, is to get Marth very powerful so he can stab a dragon.
Seems like a reasonable explanation.
Alright, so the boss is down.
So the plot of this speedrun then is Marth recruits an audience to witness a dragon stabbing.
Yes. Okay, I just refreshed, so I'm ahead now. A good Fire Emblem to play that isn't piss easy, but also won't get me super stressed out over missed recruitable characters and stuff. I want to say Fire Emblem 5, but there's a lot of characters to recruit in that.
My thing is, if you're going to want to get all the recruitable characters, you're just either going to have to bite the bullet and realize you're not going to get it the first time, or just look it up.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no guide anywhere that will tell you how to do this, or in the game. It is not obvious at all.
Okay, I had to clip real quick so I could figure out what he bought. Looks like he's buying a bunch of steel lances. I'm gonna give that to his cavaliers, of course, and Cheetah. And what he bought from the item shop is a ton of healing items and some door keys. Yep. So I think he doesn't plan on using his thieves going forward.
Pretty sure that Dorky is something we don't have in short supply around here.
Yes. Honestly, play Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia then, because it has a very small cast. Everybody is super easily like recruitable, and yeah, it's really not that stressful. The only thing that's stressful is there is no weapon triangle, and you will miss a lot because there is no weapon triangle. So now we're in the chapter, and we're trying to recruit 2 units, and those 2 units are Maria and Minerva. So how this works is we need to have Marth go into the jail cell and talk to Maria to recruit her, and then Minerva will fly over to us and then try and talk to Marth. Now, if you, for some reason, are heartless and you decide that you want to kill Maria, then Minerva will just straight up try and kill you.
And I'm guessing likely succeed?
No. Minerva cannot take down Marth, unfortunately.
Okay, well then never mind.
Well, actually, I guess it's not unfortunate, but... We also have our first promoted enemy in this chapter who has the Hero's Proof. The Hero's Proof is a promotion item that will let us promote our units. Pretty much. I just kind of repeated myself twice there. But yeah, it's a promotion item. Not sure who his first promotion is going to be. Marth can't promote in this game. Marth is unique in that he, instead of promoting, he just goes up to level 30. No other units do that.
So if this is unchanged from other games, every other unit that can promote, you get them to level 20, they cap out, and then you can promote them, right?
Yes. My opinion on when to promote, though, especially in this game, just depends on how you feel about it. Like, with me, if I notice that Cheetah, which is our Pegasus Knight, has 20 speed and 20 resistance, I'm just going to straight up promote her because she's not going to get, any more useful stats out of being in that class. I'm not sure how high the dragons go. I would assume also 30 or maybe 20. I don't think you have enough resources to get them to level up that high, though. And yes, Marth goes up to level 30 in every Fire Emblem game he's in, including Awakening. And Fates? I think he goes up to 30 in Fates. But yeah, Marth is pretty much his own promotion. It kind of... Like, if I ever got a chance to talk to the devs, I would like to ask them if they gave Marth a promotion, would they, keep him as a foot soldier, or would they give him a steed? Oh, he goes up to 40 in Fates, well, damn.
Well, there you go.
Marth doesn't need a promotion anyways. He actually does get a promotion in Fire Emblem Warriors, and he has like golden armor and stuff. It's a pretty sick design. I recommend you look it up.
Fire Emblem Warriors is nothing like this game, though.
No, it's not. It does have mechanics from Fire Emblem games, so like the weapon triangle and stuff like that. So it's pretty neat. I like it.
I think it's neat that the, quote, Warriors series can be sort of adapted to really any sort of thing.
Yes, like they want to do a Mario Warriors, and I'm really curious about that.
That would be the best. I mean, they already made the Mario Fire Emblem game.
I would say that's more XCOM, to be honest. But yeah, it is. Mario does what he wants.
That game was actually pretty good.
It looks solid. So what I'm noticing here is Bantu is actually a beast in this version. Now, what I do personally in Shadow Dragon is I would just straight up take Bantu's stone and I'd recruit him, and I'd only use him to recruit Tiki, which is another dragon we get later, and I would give her his stone. So Bantu would just be like a big bench warmer, but he's actually putting in work, so... Now, I guess we'll get more into the differences between the Divine Dragon, which that's what Tiki is, and the Fire Dragon later. What I will tell you now is that the Divine Dragon can fly over things, so it's very useful. Bantu cannot do that. He is a grounded dragon.
Kind of feel like the Divine Dragon might use wind.
She uses the power of holy magic, pretty much.
Oh, holy. Okay. See, when you said like Excalibur used wind, I'm like, well, that's a holy thing, so I don't understand.
Yeah, it is weird.
I thought for some reason wind and holy were like the same thing.
Nah.
So yes, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to ask dumb questions.
No, I appreciate it. I love answering questions about these games. Because there are just some things that I miss over. Yes, at least you know what a Fire Emblem game is.
Yeah, one of my good friends is literally obsessed with the Fire Emblem series, and he would be ashamed of my commentary.
Alright, so we recruit Minerva. This is actually my second favorite Fire Emblem character. She's just like a badass, strong princess girl that rides a dragon. Oh, so it looks like he's promoting Agma, which I call him Godma.
I imagine that might have something to do with the reason why he's being promoted.
Yes, Agma is an insane character. So what I like about this run so far is it seems like everybody's contributing to combat, usually, and the other Fire Emblem speedruns, it's usually just like 1 or 2 units that contribute to like actual combat, but everybody's doing their part. It's awesome.
Apparently some sort of speed ring just happened.
Okay, so we just took back a pretty important castle. We only got to hear the music for a little bit, but the music changed to symbolize that like we just had a great victory right now. Now, I also forgot to mention, in addition to me just like not being able to find any VODs of this runner's run. I was told that he likes to play an Idolmaster ROM hack of Fire Emblem 3, and that sort of intrigues me, even though I'm not an Idolmaster fan. Just so you guys know, that is the thing this runner likes to do.
I think we just hit peak weeb.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't get to see the VOD. I asked Clear Tonic, but he went missing after he told me. So I don't know if like the Idolmaster assassins just came out of nowhere and took him down. There is actually a Toho emblem. I have no idea what the actual name is, but it exists.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure in that one, in order to get an attack off, you have to dodge like 17 pixels on the screen. I'm kidding.
Thankfully, that's not the case. And yeah, somebody just said the name. It's Emblem. That's what it is. So in this map, we would be recruiting another character by the name of Jake, who, if you guys are familiar with Anna, she's like the secondary mascot of the Fire Emblem series. She's just like the cute redhead that you see that asks you if you want to save the game or quit the game. But yeah, her boyfriend is supposed to be on this chapter, and we're supposed to have Sheeta talk to her, then talk to him, and get him to join the army, but he was completely removed from this game. In his class was the cannoneer, I guess I'll call it, because that's what they localized it as in Fates. And basically it's a long range class that uses cannons and catapults and whatnot. Pretty useful class to have, but it's not in this version. There's also that name, which I don't want to try and pronounce because I feel like I would butcher it, but let's go for it. Is it Ballistician? Yeah, I butchered it.
Ballistician.
Ballistician. There you go. Yes, that is the class that he was. And there was another one that we get later on, but he was also removed from the game, so it's unfortunate. There wasn't that much removed from this game, just 5 characters and 5 chapters. But to be honest, the chapters that were removed weren't really that great. And only 2 out of the 5 characters were that great. And no, I'm not including Whis out of the characters, the great characters I mentioned.
Oh, rip. Rip memes. I mean, what?
As you can see, our runner is doing pretty well without an early game healer. All you need is Lena, the warp staff, and Wendell. I mean, I hate to say it, but after playing through this version, Vulnary is just as good as Whis. Also, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Is it Whis? Is it Reese? I know the Japanese name for it is Riff. We are recruiting 2 units in this chapter, though. One is George, who is an archer, or a sniper rather. He's a pre-promote, and the other is Linda, who is a mage. Linda. I'm not sure if he's gonna use Linda because she comes pretty late. She does have a really good tome, though. And George is... I'm not sure how he is in this version. Me personally, I typically don't use archers. Like foot archers, rather. I haven't... the only games where I have used them was Fire Emblem 4 and Fates. And I think that's it. Oh yeah, I did use the one in Radiant Dawn, even though I hate him as a character. So that's Linda, and I guess she's pretending to be a boy.
I mean, you do what you do.
But now she let her hair just flow out, so... I wouldn't really count Blade Lord Lyn. Because then I'd have to count Alm as well. Alright, and there's George. Our handsome archer, but not a very useful one. I believe George is a meme in Japan. I can't recall like the context of the meme, but I do know that he is popular, and he is popular because he is there's a meme about him. Could actually look that up really quick. Oh, okay. Actually, I remember it off the top of my head. So, George is a meme in Japan because his title is like the greatest archer ever, or something along the lines of that, but his stats don't really show it. So he's kind of made fun of for that.
I don't know if anybody's going to get this, so he's like the Storm Crow of Fire Emblem players.
Storm Crow.
Yeah, nobody is going to get that. Sorry.
Explain it to me. I'm curious.
It's a Magic the Gathering joke.
Ah. Someone in the chat's got to get that, right?
I don't know why I felt I needed to chime in with that. Completely irrelevant. Crowstorm is busted. I don't know what you're talking about.
If you guys are talking about the music of this game, I wasn't sure what you guys were talking about, but yeah. Oh, what's up?
Well, the speed gaming restream is not playing the game audio, so
I see.
There's some sort of OST playing in the background. It could be this actual OST.
I saw somebody link the Dark Dragon battle theme. The music in this game and in its remakes are very good. I would recommend listening to them.
I mean, I'm on board with it. This is the first time I've heard it.
Yeah, there's a theme in Shadow Dragon called Liberation that a lot of people like. Okay, so we have 4 recruitable characters that already joined our party straight up. I'm pretty sure he's not going to use any of them. In Shadow Dragon, you would use the Bishop Bow and just use him as another warp staff, pretty much.
So I'm reasonably certain that bishops should only be able to move diagonally.
Not in Fire Emblem. You know, I totally forgot to mention this earlier as well, but Marth did get the Fire Emblem. And with that, he can open treasure chests. We don't really need thieves anymore. Marth kind of fills the role very well, and we have enough door keys. So you warped Marth to the bottom right to deal with these soldiers, and he's going to take them out, open what's in the chest, open the door, and then take out the boss. He doesn't need to actually talk to any of the units that are recruitable. He just needs to keep them alive and make sure they're moved around. Yeah, Marth is a man of many talents. He also uses the Fire Emblem as a shield. I don't know if many people know that. Hey, I mean, he's done it across 4 games, and it's been okay. Ooh, so he gets the boots, and he's definitely going to use that on Marth, no doubt. So the boots just gives him more movement. I think it's an additional space. Maybe it's 2.
In the words of the Zelda randomizer community, what are those?
So this is a little bit off topic, but in Fire Emblem 6, you can actually buy boots, which is ridiculous. You can buy as many as you want.
You can't like stack them all on one character, can you?
No, you can.
What?
Yeah. It's kind of ridiculous.
So you could just buy all the boots and then just have a character that can just literally walk all over the map.
Yes.
That sounds entirely legit.
It's broken. It's a little bit limited since like you need a lot of money for it, but yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous.
I mean, it's not like money is a limited quantity. Oh, wait, never mind. Lonely Lifeform, you are not wrong. This is entirely nerdy to an extreme level, and that's what we're here for.
So he's doing something that I recommend that everybody does when they play just these games in general, regardless of how good your lord turns out. Just feed your lord stat ups. See, but your waifu can't stab the dragon. And yeah, that boss is just one down in one go. Pretty easy mode. Alright, so Marth has taken back his kingdom, and in Shadow Dragon, this would be a very, very long cutscene where he does his speech, but this is the Super Nintendo version, so no speech.
Speech!
It's a great speech, and part of the reasons why he's my favorite character in the series.
But is it a long, unskippable cutscene?
It's skippable.
Okay, that's the important part for the, gotta go fast department.
It shouldn't be skippable though, because it's excellent. I think the map theme is going to change from Onward to Liberation. Need to actually hear that.
I mean, don't you know that sitting on a throne of power magically makes everyone obey you?
Yes. Oh, it looks like Astrum got moved to this chapter. Okay. So, the character we just recruited, Astrum, was originally in a chapter that you can think of the chapter, if I can give you a mental image, it's like League of Legends, where there's like 3 lanes. And these 3 lanes had like archers and ballisticians on it too. And it was really annoying. It was a terrible map. So I see why they removed it. RTA is real-time attack. So trying to beat the game as fast as possible in real time.
It's essentially what the Japanese call speedrunning.
Yep.
It's real time as opposed to say like in-game time or something like that. That's the real different distinction there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, sorry about the ad. The thing is, it's real-time attack as opposed to in-game time attack. So it's just really what the Japanese call speedrunning, just in general.
So the Pegasus Knights just went ahead and recruited themselves to Marth's army, and they tell him that their sister, their younger sister Est, is missing, and we'll be recruiting her later. She got kidnapped. So now that we have all our units recruited, he's just going to warp straight to the boss, and Marth is going to destroy these knights in this room. Of course, take out the bishop so he can't heal.
Always focus down the healer.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's also something I didn't really want to bring up because there's just so much about it, but there are archetypes in the Fire Emblem series. So in the first chapter of this game, we got 2 Cavaliers, and if you notice that in the other Fire Emblem games you played, there will usually be 2 Cavaliers that accompany the main character of the game. That's like a running trope in the game. Same with the Pegasus sisters and the triangle attack. Also, same with having a really powerful character in the early game as like usually your advisor, or usually the advisor to the main character or the retainer. That's a running trope in the game, or in the series rather. There's so many archetypes. And how the archetype works with the Cavaliers, usually one has green hair and one has red hair. Sometimes they change the hair color of the other Cavalier, but usually one has red. Yes, this is on the Super Nintendo. Well, it's Super Famicom. So we have nobody to recruit in this chapter. I think he does need to get the chest on the bottom right. So I'm not sure if he's gonna warp somebody to the bottom right and just have them take the chest, and then just have Marth warp to the castle and kill the boss and leave. That's usually what I do. And that is a Medeus, or not Medeus. I can't pronounce his name. It's like Garnif. That's how you spell his name. We can't kill that guy unless we have Marth's legendary weapon or light magic. But he's holding Marth's legendary weapon, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that.
Don't we have that holy person?
We do. I don't think Aura works on him. I think we need a different type of magic. Oh yeah, the starlight magic. That's right.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, it still isn't a mechanic, and he reset because he needed to double that boss. So it looks like he's just gonna straight up leave. Another miss. So Marth needs to put on those glasses, man.
Perhaps the RNG is not as fixed as I originally thought.
I was like, I'm pretty sure it wasn't fixed, but not too sure since I didn't have a run to study. Just going off of my experiences with the game. Alright.
The runner is now proclaiming how much of a pain this is.
This is number 3 in the series. But he's playing the remake of 1.
Alright, third time's a charm.
I'm trying to remember what was in that chest on the bottom right that I valued personally. Must have been like a weapon or something. Okay, so this chapter is a chapter where he has to make a decision on which unit he wants to recruit. So there's 2 villages, and to the left, I believe it's a hero character, and to the right, it's a paladin. And if you recruit one, you can't recruit the other. So I assume he will be going with the hero because he's very powerful in this version, but maybe he'll just go with whatever is faster and not use either.
Well, I don't know. To me, this sounds like somebody's not recruiting all the characters. I'm just being insane.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, you're not, but he's not dead. So we also get a unit with a very, very unique class in the series. He's a chameleon. Not literally a chameleon, but that is his class. And what he can do is he can transform into any unit in the game, as long as they're like a party member. Pretty useful to have.
So you might call him a mimic or something like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is a class that is never used again in the series. Hope it comes back at some point.
I mean, I don't know. It does sound a little busted.
I mean, balancing in Fire Emblem games, pretty hard to do. This is the remake of Fire Emblem 1 inside the Fire Emblem 3 cart. Oh, okay, so he chooses Samson, and I actually got it wrong. The left is the paladin, and the right is the hero. I think Samson is the better one between the two, but most people don't use either. If he had to use one, Samson would be the better unit.
So, this is just sort of a weird thing. I don't know for sure. So, Paladin is generally what you would upgrade from a knight, right?
Yes, from Cavalier specifically.
Cavalier. Okay. I know that in other games, like, they don't use the word paladin. They use knight for paladin, which is weird. That could just be Final Fantasy, though.
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy. So later on in the series, they actually have branching promotions. So a Cavalier could be a Paladin or a Great Knight, which is a armored mounted unit.
Neat. Does it lose any speed from all that armor, or?
You know what? I don't usually use Great Knight that much. The times I did use it, it was because I wanted to get a skill from it, but I believe that their speed is pretty solid.
But yeah, it seems like there are some pretty busted mechanics in this game. Like, you know, the warp rod's pretty busted. Just like, oh, let's go over here and beat some face.
Yeah, warp is a mess, and they didn't realize that it was broken until... Shoot, when did they realize it was broken? Because it certainly wasn't during the SNES era, because the final game in the SNES era is very broken.
I didn't get all the way through Fire Emblem 7, but I don't think it's in that.
Yeah, I think they just straight up removed it for a little bit. A lot of Japanese, or well, I mean the older Japanese players now grew up with this game. Like Fire Emblem 3 was very popular. I think it came out very early in the SNES Super Famicom life cycle as well. Came out January 21st, 1994. But yes, Dragon Quest is huge in Japan, and I can't believe I just said that. It's very popular in Japan, is what I meant to say.
I mean, how are those different?
Huge in Japan is a meme, and I didn't want to. I wanted to like not meme up the stream.
I need more meme material then. Hashtag always more memes.
Yes, in Fire Emblem 4, there's a warp staff that just warps you between castles. I found a glitch with that, actually. Not sure if it's a... Well, I'm sure it's a known glitch now, but back in the day, I'm not sure if it was known. Where if you... It's so hard to explain, but basically warp and rescue allows your units to have infinite movement. It's pretty busted. It's only for one turn. This is indeed a strategy RPG, one of the first. There's also Super Famicom Wars, which later on grew up to be Advance Wars.
Are those developed by the same people?
Yes. Now, it's unfortunate that the series probably won't be continued because the dev said that he hasn't decided on making another Advance Wars because he can't bring love to the battlefield, because that's like something that's very popular with the newer Fire Emblem fans, is the love supports and whatnot. So they think that that is now a requirement for Advance Wars, which I totally disagree. Let Advance War be its own thing. I didn't play Advance Wars till actually a couple of months ago, and I thought it was pretty solid. It's unfortunate that the series might not continue because of that. Okay, this is something I didn't know. So Zane can just walk over water. That's awesome. I was wondering why he went to get the hero first and not Zane, but looks like Zane can just walk over water to go meet Marth, and he's gonna recruit himself too.
Not every turn-based strategy game needs a waifu simulator.
I agree, especially Fire Emblem, but that's just me. Alright, so Zane just straight up recruit himself into the party. I don't know if he's going to use Zane, because you can't get double Falcons in this game. Falcon is, or Falchion, I don't know how it's actually pronounced. I hear
you had it right the first
different.
time.
Okay. That you can get 2 of that sword in the DS remake. And how to do that is so there's these guide-in chapters that people brought up earlier, and you have to kill units in order to unlock them. Now there's a chapter where if you don't have the Falcon or Tiki is dead, or both, then you unlock this guide-in chapter. So what you could do is, before that guide-in chapter, is trade the Falcon onto Tiki, then have Tiki die, go into that chapter, get the other Falcon, and then revive her in that chapter. Also, yeah, this is one of the few Fire Emblem games where you can revive a unit. You can revive them once. So we'd use that one revive from that staff on Tiki, and then you have 2 Falcons, and you have 2 Divine Dragons as well. And you would basically just have Zane turn himself into Marth, and then you would just give him the weaker Falcon. And you have 2 Marths. 2 Marths and 2 Falcons. Alright, that guy just transformed into a dark dragon. So we have nobody that we need to recruit here. Yes, this run is only doing book 1, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean book 2 is basically just as long as book 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd be here all day.
Pretty much. Okay, so it looks like he turns himself into Marth. I guess that makes sense. So Zane copies everything. He copies the stats, copies the HP. So if you have a maximum of 25 HP, but you have 12 HP currently, and Zane copies you, he will have 12 HP. Yes, everyone does survive.
So you don't like overwrite your level and XP value though, right?
Negative. I don't even think Zane gets the XP. Could be wrong on that one. Okay, so this is interesting. He's using real Marth to kill the dragon. So does that mean that the Zane Marth can take the throne? Because if so, that's something I didn't know.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Let's
it would be
find out.
awesome. Okay, never mind. Actually, maybe he's getting one of the star spheres.
I like it how there are occasional just English words thrown in here.
Mm-hmm.
So like player, enemy, just right there.
I actually like that that's a thing because when I was first learning, so I learned a bit of Japanese just to play the older Fire Emblem games. Because when I was younger, well, I'm only 23, so, but back in the day, I didn't want to use emulator at all. So I went out of my way to play these, like import these games and play them on console, and having those English words there to like not hurt my brain was really nice. And also, yeah, old games were pretty slow, and because of that, nowadays when I do play these games, I typically play on emulator.
Like I know that I did play for like I think 5 minutes on the original Fire Emblem one time before I got confused and couldn't figure out what was going on. But I did know what attack was.
Yeah.
that was tatakao, and that's it.
See, I made flashcards and I studied maybe like for a good 2 days before I started playing, and that's what I did, just so I didn't, because I was so like worried about dying because I couldn't read something, but I kind of over exaggerated it. But yes, this is the chapter where we recruit Tiki, who is under control of the boss, and to recruit her, we need Bantu to just walk up and talk to her. Simple as that. Then we will have a very powerful dragon on our side. So Tiki is a fan favorite in the series because she's cute girl that turns into giant powerful dragon.
I mean, that does seem like the sort of thing that would appeal to, most humans.